it's Elyse Comerford here. I'm joining Jo today as we chat to some of our participants from the Gut Health Formula. So if you haven't heard of the Gut Health Formula, it is a program that Jo and I have been running for, is it 5 years, Jo?
Must be about that.
It must be about 5 years. So we've had a lot of people go through the Gut Health Formula, and it's been such an incredible program that has impacted so positively on so many people's lives. And we started to think that we'd really love to share some of those stories of people's experiences, because we know how powerful it can be to hear of someone else's healing experience. And we do have a few like healing stories within the program, and we always get feedback on those, that hearing someone else's journey, and you may have heard Isaac's story that Jo has on her YouTube channel. I know some of my clients have listened to that and found that incredibly inspiring. So just hearing someone's story, it gives us hope. And that can be the most important thing in the healing process, is having that hope and seeing, okay, they did it, I can too. So that is what we're hoping to share with you guys through doing these podcasts, is share some hope so that you can move forward on your own healing journey.
Yeah, it's so powerful when you hear someone else's story that's been through what you are going through, and you don't feel alone, and you know that someone else has been there and come out the other side. And that's what we found with Isaac when he was just at the beginning of diagnosis with OCD, and just really struggling and feeling like he was the only person in the world that felt like this. He just felt very alone. And I started researching online and finding stories of people who had OCD but had been able to really improve it with natural health and just diet and different things. And I would read him the stories. And I remember the first time I read him one of the stories with an amazing, healing journey. He was laying on the floor bawling his eyes out at the time. And I read him the story, and he just stopped, and he looked at me and he said, "You mean people get over this?" And I said, "Yes." And he stood up, stopped crying, and that was it. He was onto it. He was ready to start working on his health, and he was so much happier after that, just knowing that there was hope. So it can make a huge difference to hear other people's stories, and that's why we'd like to share some with you today.
So welcome, Steph.
First up is Steph. She's so brave. She's put up with all our technical difficulties this morning already, and stops and starts. And hopefully we will not lose my internet again. But thank you so much, Steph, for joining us and for being the brave first one on the show.
Right. Thank you guys so much for having me. Can't wait to dive into it.
It's awesome. So Steph was on the most recent intake of the program, and we just finished the 8 weeks, like a week or two ago, didn't we?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
2 weeks ago, yeah. So I guess, first of all, we'd love to know what you went into the program hoping to get out of it. Why did you decide to join the program?
So I had been healing our 3-year-old daughter. It had been almost a year, and I was still so lost. And I said to my husband, I need some guidance. Like, I don't know what the gaps means. I don't know how to heal her, what she needs, how much, just the basics of just healing her. And I was speaking to a few people, and you get a bit of info here and there. And I said to my husband, I was like, there's this course, and I need the guidance so badly to help us to heal her.
And when you say healing her, what are the kind of issues that you were seeing and that you needed to address?
So at around 14 months old, she was walking with a limp, and it progressed worse and worse. And then after seeing about 8 specialists, surgeons, x-rays, our physio referred us to a rheumatologist, and that's when she was diagnosed with JIA, which we didn't even know existed. And and they said the only way to get rid of this is she needs to go on this medication, and every 6 weeks she'll have to have a liver blood test to make sure that it's not basically shutting down with the medication that she'll be on. And so I skipped out of there thinking, great, she's going to be able to walk, she won't be in pain anymore. And then my husband went to the chemist, and the lady said to him, are you sure this is for an 18-month-old? Because this is going to destroy her insides for the rest of her life.
Wow.
And my husband came home, and he obviously shared what she had said. And so I, that whole night, didn't sleep, researching. I went onto my mum's Facebook, went onto this Conscious Mothers page, and just said, does anybody have any idea how we can heal her naturally or anything? And this one lady said, Jo Witten, I healed my daughter on GAPS diet through her. And so from then on, she threw a whole heap of information, and that's where we've been since.
What is JIA? Sorry.
Oh, Juvenile
Idiopathic Arthritis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know kids could get that.
No, it's just mind-blowing, isn't it? You don't think.
Yeah, so juvenile, it's kids, idiopathic, like they don't know why kind of thing. Arthritis, yeah. So generally it's autoimmune.
Yeah.
But when you go to like a regular medical practitioner for something autoimmune, what do they tell you?
Yeah, straight on. Oh, so sad, straight onto the medication.
Yeah.
And
Immunosuppressant.
Seeing the rheumatologist, 3 weeks ago, and it's been 7 months. So 7 months it's been with her on quite hardcore GAPS, and he is saying, I'm optimistic. I want to see her in 6 months' time instead of every 3 months' time, and then I want to see her in 12 months. He goes, and I think it's disappearing.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, incredible. So when you were on the journey on your own, so trying to implement things by yourself without the support, what was feeling the most challenging?
The food of what to cook. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And when I did the course, the gut health formula, it was as simple as when you guys would say, start with the stocks, just get stocks and then your fermented foods. And it was just so simple. Everything you guys said was just so simple. Chuck the chicken in a pot, add the water, some veg. Like, it doesn't have to be
gourmet.
And add lots of good fats and egg yolks and I since the gut health formula, I haven't had a day where I could cry and be overwhelmed with, what am I going to cook? What do I do? I don't know what to cook this. I mean, I still get that every now and then, but like,
it's not the anxiety kind of thing. It's more of a
like, has my 3-year-old had enough fats? Is she full, or has she had enough healing foods? Like, yeah.
And just learning to add them in small steps without trying to do everything at once, I think.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Huge thing.
Yeah.
So how, so Elyse, maybe you could explain a little bit about how healing foods help with autoimmune arthritis type things.
So with any kind of autoimmunity, there is always going to be that underlying gut issue. So generally there's some kind of leaky gut going on, and autoimmunity is the body attacking itself. So it's the antibodies are formed against proteins within your own body. So there's always something gut related going on. That's the same with any health condition. There's always something gut related going on. It doesn't mean it will be the only answer, but it's always going to be a big part of the answer. And the great thing is that, say, like, I've definitely worked with JIA before. Sometimes we get people coming to the clinic with an autoimmune condition that I haven't even heard of, because there are so many different types of autoimmune conditions. And the great thing is that the way you approach it doesn't change really, because it all is that same basis. It's about healing and repairing the gut. So the gut is no longer a source of inflammation, so that you're healing and sealing and repairing the gut lining, so that proteins are not traveling through into the blood in the way the body doesn't recognize, and starts forming an immune response. So basically very overactive immune system, then reacting to other things. And so many things are autoimmune based. Like most arthritis has some form of autoimmunity there. Definitely things like rheumatoid arthritis, and even like there's something that's come up a couple of times recently. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's one in the ears. There's like, if you look up a lot of conditions where there's not really an answer for, they're very, very often autoimmune. There is just so many of them. And so many people have autoimmune conditions that are undiagnosed. So like I've got a client at the moment with connective tissue autoimmunity. So she gets injured really easily. So soft tissues, playing sport or something, injured really easily, and then takes a really, really long time to heal. So that's a form of autoimmunity. So yeah, healing the gut is the way to go.
Yep. It's back to the simple basics, which we all need to work on.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's why the program is successful. So there's so many different types of health issues, is because we all need to get back to that root cause of gut health. So with the program, as we went through each week and adding things in, did you find that quite doable, not overwhelming?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fine adding new things in. The only thing that we haven't added in is the dairy side of things. So yeah, that's which we would love to add in. I just still a little bit.
It takes time. Yeah. And I think really just presenting all the options in a way that's doable, and then say do them in your own at your own pace, because everybody's going to be different.
Yeah, exactly.
So within the Gut Health Formula, of course, we do have the Telegram group where you can jump in there and chat away, which does get very busy. So how did you find that, Steph?
Oh, that's been, a huge help with, any questions, being able to just throw it in and say, what can I do with this piece of chicken? Or
I love those questions. I'm cooking right now. What should I do? We're like, do this.
ASAP. That is like the most amazing thing, to be able to have that support through the course. Is that chat group, and all the other people bouncing ideas, or and them even saying questions, and then like, oh, I didn't, like, I wanted to ask that, but I didn't think of that. Like,
that's probably my favorite part too. I love the group, because it's like every day there's just constantly chat going on. And even, as you'll know, you're in the alumni group now. So once you do finish in the 8 weeks of the course, you've still got 12 months access to everything. So we try and encourage everyone not to freak out. But then the alumni group just stays there, and we're still every day in the alumni group, which is awesome.
You guys are amazing at always just replying to everyone, and there are so many messages, and you guys do amazing at replying
sometimes sometimes it's like slower than others, like I guess on a weekend, but like I think yesterday or the day before, I see a message pop up about sleep questions, and I was just like, oh, I've been researching this. I'm like, so it's very helpful even for us, I find, because it makes me start thinking, what is the answer to that question? And then I go and research it and come back and I've learned something. So it's good.
It's so good like that. Yeah, when other people ask questions, and it makes you think,
And then also it's fun seeing all the photos of everyone's cooking, and
and even random things like people's craft. I love that too.
And this is where I'm taking my morning walk, and
I know, it's so inspiring.
Beautiful scenery. It is really, it helps you to feel supported and want to actually, I should be letting you talk about it, sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. But it was a really lonely year until I started this group. It was, I felt like we were the only ones in the world, and I kept reading your story, Jo, and I was like, how did she heal him? How did she do it? Like, so I said to Kurt, I just feel so supported on
Good.
yeah, that health formula, yeah, the chat and everything, and yeah.
That's
And one of our main dreams with creating this program, it's like Jo and I feel like we created it out of necessity. We're like, we were wanting to meet that need of something that's actually going to impact people's lives over the long term, and that was actually going to be sustainable, and that made health really achievable. And that's something I love about that alumni chat group. I'm like, there's people that have been in this group for 5 years and they are still in there chatting away. Like, some of the names are so familiar now.
yeah.
And I'm like, it really is something. And we do often get people in there saying they are years in and it's changed their life. And that was our goal. We've always known we could do something like really really intense that would have incredible short-term results, and that would get a lot of attention, but it wouldn't actually change people's lives over the long term. And that's with the gut health formula. As you would know, in that first week, generally everyone's like chomping at the bit and they're like really excited to get started. And we're like, first week is all about slowing down.
I know. This is amazing. We all need this. And
how did you cope with that first week? Did you feel frustrated at first?
no, that's what I needed. I needed that. I was like, because I've always just been like one thing to the other and just stressing the whole entire time. And then it just when you guys guiding and saying just one thing at a time, like every day doesn't have to be perfect. Every day doesn't have to be perfect. Look over the whole week instead of focusing on that day. And if you didn't get all your stocks in or you didn't get all your fermented foods in, you don't just focus on the one day, overall the week or the month. Or which was a big thing for me, because on the day I would stress and be like, oh, she didn't eat all her breakfast. Oh, she didn't drink all her stock. And I would spin me in a spiral, and I'd be like, she didn't heal today. And then we're doing this journey. That's been one of the biggest helps.
Looking at the picture and not
the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Because it's like comes from that always being told, eat all the colors of the rainbow with every meal, and like, so it's like you can get so hyper focused on all the small details that you're trying to get it all perfect, and we take that perfectionism away from it when it's like, rather than trying to get all the healing food in every meal or every day, it's like, look across the month and overall, are we increasing the intake of all of those healing foods? It's just like zooming out a little bit, and it just makes things much less overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with Jo saying, make things fun for her, fun cups or straws to drink the stock, or plates and bowls, and that, or different environment to eat the foods. And that was a huge
I have a picnic.
Yeah, and she loves
with a thermos of soup.
I know, and she loves sitting with her little sister, and just they've got the same. We've all got the same, and so she gets excited. So that's so nice.
That's cute.
Yeah, I think just pulling back on the stress and the intensity and saying, okay, let's just relax a little, and it's okay to take time. And with kids that are refusing food, learning to make it a fun experience and not a stressful, oh, here we go again at every meal.
Yes. And it's only the odd time now where she has a day or two and she doesn't want to have all her stock or all her soups, and she'll just have a little bit, and I'm okay with that. I don't get stressed anymore. So
that's so good. Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
Were there any big aha moments throughout? So can you think just off the top of your head, just anything you learned throughout that was a bit of an aha moment for you?
The stocks. I mean, I have books, but I feel like I needed to have this. I needed to have the chat, and the videos of every week, having the live videos of just the basics. Jo, you doing your cook-ups. And I was like, it's so simple how it's just, with the stocks and the meal cook-ups. That was a big aha moment, because I was struggling so badly with just getting all the food done. And sometimes
you can look at a recipe and it just feels overwhelming, but you see it done and you're like, oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Especially with fermenting or making yogurt or like some of those things as well, it can feel a little bit like, what do I do? And then you watch someone do it, like, right, okay.
Yeah, and just the videos every week of you guys showing, focusing on fermented foods or stocks or cook-ups and things like that. It's just so straight, like, down the line.
Simple.
Simple.
Yeah.
How did you find the live Q&As as well, like with Elyse on the more difficult health issues and things like that?
Yeah, that was a big eye opener. Like with certain things spoken about, that was really cool. Just listening to those and the questions that people would ask.
I find that I learn something every time I listen to Elyse answer people's questions.
I know. I could listen to you both every day, always.
I had
the information.
I had my trainee B who's just finished her traineeship. Say hi, B.
Hey, congratulations, B.
She was sitting here beside me and we were listening to one of the live videos. We kept looking at each other like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So I learned something every time. What kind of takeaways did you get from the program that you feel like you'll use going forward? Things that you weren't doing before and now you've sort of built them into your everyday life for healing your daughter?
The biggest thing would be stocks, just having that on the stove a few times a week, a big batch of stock, and adding that into everything. And like Elyse says, try and add little bits into everything, your cooking or your jellies or, so that's one of the biggest things that to take away. And also meal planning is, having that, just like, and the snacks. The biggest thing was snacks on the go, like chicken drumsticks or a cup of stock, some gummies. Oh, it's never.
It doesn't have to be baking.
Was that, sorry?
Not just always baking and sweet.
Yeah,
the snack.
Yeah, the herbed meatballs, and so just having those things on the go just takes that. Yeah, that was the biggest thing that I learned through the GAPS healing journey, is to have those healing foods ready to go. So if she's crashing a bit, or I've got options for her to have a snack on. Yeah.
Has it changed the way you think about health and healing?
Definitely. I can't believe I didn't know about this before. This should be just everyday living, right? Like, should be like how we all eat. And I feel like this is how they used to eat, maybe, like how back in the olden.
Yeah.
That part you can
no, that's fine.
Honestly, in the stoves cooking all their soups and stuff. But I feel like this is how we all should be eating, and that this lifestyle, it should be our lifestyle, and it has been a big change in our home and our lifestyle for us as a family.
Were any of your family and friends, did they question you on the way that you changed your diet, or have they found it, maybe teased you a bit about the way that you eat, or have you found it pretty good with the way that people respond to the way that you're eating?
Yeah, well, my mum and dad, and obviously my husband, they have been amazing, and they just are so inspired by how the past 8 weeks have been, and the foods that that we've been cooking, and they wish they could eat like this. And and my dad says, can you cook for me as well, and cook like
you're like, no.
Yeah, I know, this is
Did they enjoy the food then? They enjoyed the meals?
Dad can't believe it. Mum and Dad, they can't believe the food. My husband, he's like, I can't believe this. The food is just, how delicious it is, but so nourishing. And
right.
The only thing I probably struggle with is going to family things, and there's an array of food, and I just struggle a bit if Chella sees it and she's, is asking, because she can see her cousins having it, and I have to break her heart and say, no, I'm sorry. So I do avoid being in situations like that, which is probably not the best, but for
It's
now,
temporary.
just while we're so intense in the healing, I just think it's important just to keep it positive with these foods and make it fun instead of being like, no, you can't have this, or no, you can't have that, and just making it fun.
Something I love explaining to people at the start of their healing journey is just having that, again, zooming out a little bit and remembering what the goal is. So when I started on my healing journey, the goal was getting it right. And so that was my only focus, was like getting it right so I could be healthy. And I'd never thought beyond that. And so I just got overly obsessed with like my diet then became my crutch. It was like, well, now I feel good eating this way, can never change, have to always eat this way. And I was like scared of potatoes. So it's like I hadn't thought beyond that. And so once I'd kind of worked through that myself, and then I'm really clear with my clients about that now my diet, I don't eat gaps all the time. So I do eat rice. I just brought some beautiful gluten-free organic sourdough from the markets this morning. And sometimes, like, my son had sourdough. We went out for breakfast with friends this morning and he wanted sourdough, organic sourdough with poached eggs and bacon, and he had that. So sometimes we go and have sushi, or so we do have other things in our diet now that are not gaps, because that is the goal. The goal is to be able to eat really nourishing whole foods and not have to worry or think about it. And also the goal for me is, if my friends invite me over for dinner, I can just eat what they serve me. I don't have to say, oh, I can't have this, or this. So I feel like it's really good to understand that from the start for people, because it can feel like, oh, well, why do I want to restrict what I eat? Or one thing also is that feeling unwell is so restrictive. So when people used to say to me, oh, how can you restrict your diet so much? Like, how can you be so restrictive? I don't know how you do that. I'm like, but I feel great. Like, to me, it's more restrictive to feel tired all the time and have no energy and bloated and have all the digestive symptoms that I used to have. I think it's good to zoom out and have that idea in mind, where you're still in the trenches, Steph, where you are in that healing place where I was for years too, where I wouldn't eat those other things when I was out. It did impact a little bit on my social life, of course. Some of my friends totally understood it, and they would just expect me to turn up with my own food if I went to their place or anything like that. And the goal is that you do get to a point where it's not so critical. Whereas before I healed, if I went out for dinner and just ate whatever I was served, I would be in the bathroom. Like, it's not nice, and it's like bloating and pain and all those things. Now I can go and do that, and it's totally fine. If I did it every night, it wouldn't be. But to go and do that occasionally is absolutely fine. And I feel like that's the goal, is to not have to obsessively worry about food and everything you're doing. It's to move beyond that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's in your future.
Yes. I know, yes. And that's my next step, is to then book in with you, Elyse, to have the guidance to take the next steps with Chella. Yeah.
But you're doing so well. I mean, just to hear that you've got so much more confidence with bringing those healing foods into your family's meals, and they're enjoying the meals, that's a huge bonus, because you hear all these people saying, yeah, but my family, they won't eat it. And we found that family and friends would come over when we were on early stages of healing, and they'd be like, this is so delicious, I wish we ate like this at home.
So that's what you find. It's not talking them into it, it's just put food in front of you, and they're like, this is delicious.
All the flavors.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, we wish you all the best with Chella and her healing journey, and can't wait to hear back from you maybe in a year or so and how things are going. And congratulations. I'm so it's so great to hear what her specialist has said about her healing. So that is so exciting, and it is huge. Absolutely huge.
And I'm so grateful for everything with you guys. Can't wait to keep continuing.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Such a pleasure.
And just the way that you're building the foundations now for her, only 3 years old, she's going to be learning this for life. So you've started so young.
I did hear, someone did say that to me.
Yeah.
Think about how you're setting your children's future up.
Yep.
it's life-changing forever.
Yeah.
And also the approach, taking that relaxed approach where it is about healing and it is being specific with what she's eating, but also relaxing around it so that it can be an enjoyable process rather than one full of stress. So you're also teaching her that too, which is just fantastic.
A really good relationship with food.
But yeah, you guys have been a huge support and just giving me that confidence. It's life-changing, like throughout this GAPS journey. I remember emailing Jo saying to you, where do I start? How did you heal? And you emailed saying, I think you need to do the gut health formula. It's going to help a lot with all this. And it was the best thing I ever did. So I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Such a pleasure. So
So good.